So the book came out in 1985,
Right.
and there was instant Hollywood interest. We had two studios wanted to make it. We met with people. One of the television networks talked about making it, and the talks went nowhere. So the book dies. Michael and I formed a production company with John Longenecker, a filmmaker we really respected, who got the spirit of the film, but he didn't have the means to get it out there.
Right.
So the book then died as a book and as a Hollywood interest, and then of course Bruce Springsteen called us in 1995, and so in 1990, so instantly there was of course movie interest.
Very fortuitous turn of events.
Exactly.
Right.
And HBO independent producer came to us and said, "I'm going to pitch this. I'm going to take it to HBO." We took it to HBO. It got set up there with Dick Cusack and Cusack's father attached as a screenwriter. We had Billy Friedkin attached as a director. And the long saga after 8 years is that it wasn't made.
It went into turnaround, sort of the proverbial sitting on the shelves.
Turnaround, which is French for you die.
Right. Exactly.
And so Annie was up here doing your film, Sensation.
Right. Annie worked with me on Sensation of Sight. Right.
Yeah. And she came down to New York right after the shoot,
Yep.
after her taking the film, and said, "There's two guys you got to meet." But we were still contractually hooked up with our other producers. When that ran out, of course, you and Buzz came down to New York, and we had a meeting of minds and spirits.
We did simpatico. It was. I remember that day because it was fantastic. I mean, we met and we sat there and we talked about the project and we just discussed changing the world, all these good things. And when Buzz and I we drove back and I looked at Buzz and I said, sometimes you have a feeling about certain projects where there's certain things you're content with and you're like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be a good project for me. I'm gonna like this. It's nice. It's a good fit. We can get this out there. And then there are other moments that you have when all of a sudden you feel, what, this can be great. There's something different here. There's something special. And that was the feeling that we had. Driving back that day was that this was something special. This was something different, and this was something that was important. This film, this story, to tell, and it's important to tell now.
Exactly. We agreed on the premise that it had to be brought to the present.
To the present, absolutely.
That was an instant understanding.
This isn't some let's look back at history and distance ourselves from it.
Exactly, and I knew we were in good hands. And I called Michael after you guys left, and I said, "These are the guys." So let's flash forward to 2 months ago when you did the reading.
Right.
In Concord. I sat there. You did your one-man show, which was incredible. I think you got a career in the future as a one-man performance. As I said, swimming towards Journey to Nowhere would be the film. Maybe you can do that too.
I'm game.
But after leaving the theater that night, or actually watching you do that, you captured the spirit of Journey to Nowhere. And what I mean by capture the spirit of Journey to Nowhere, not capturing my vision or my take, because the film, of course, is a different creature. What you captured was the spirit of the people, which is very hard. And your skill, if I can swallow your head for a moment, is you have the ability to capture the voice of the American people, because you lived it and you grew up in it. Not everyone can do that. And that's why your screenplay is stunning to me. This film is going to... It's going to be the spiritual extension of the book, but it's going to be its own entity, as it should be and must be. But the vital thing is the voice of the people that we spent the last 30 years documenting is in this film.
That's great, man. That's great. I mean, and that's that's what we talked about that, and that's the hope. The hope is that it's like Michael's photo in that book, that I am you, right? We look at these people. These working class people, the middle class, the disenfranchised, and we say, "Oh, I am you, right? I'm no different than you." And it's sort of like become the theme of this one, where we say, "There but for the grace of God go I." That I know that realistically, were it not for just a slight turn of events here or there, I would be in that same exact position. As that person, that disenfranchised, who's down and out, no home, no wife, family, it's all in disarray.
I have a line in the introduction of the new book, Someplace Like America, where I talk about my friends being laid off in the newspaper industry.
Right.
Like the steel workers were being laid off 25, 30 years ago. They're in their 50s. They have very little chance of getting a job.
Yeah.
And as they say, we're all steel workers now. But when you're in a food line, we were in Muskegon, Michigan. This is going to be in the book and in Ron's film. We met this woman named Sue. She told us she had the house on the hill. And she was there in the food line. She said, I'm here for my kids. And she was clearly embarrassed, but clearly understood that she had no choice. And she was actually very uplifting in that she's canning her own food. She's living a more simple life. But when you're in a food line, we're all the same.
Exactly. And I think that's the key. And I think that's what Hollywood missed. And the whole reason you had to, struggle for so many years, there are people saying, oh, okay, what are we going to do with this project? And now it's in turnaround, it's this and that and the other, is that people didn't, they weren't looking at the heart and the spirit of who these people really were. See, I mean, it's not a political issue. Let's put this aside. I mean, it is. We can get into all the nuances of this and that and the other. But at the end of the day, ultimately, it's not a left or right issue. This isn't some sort of agitprop piece, some sort of polemic that we're trying to create. It's like we have to come to this with eyes wide open and recognize this is a human being issue. These are human beings. These are lives, real people.
Right.
And you have to know that, and you have to love people, and you have to care about them, and sincerely desire the greater good for all men and women and children throughout this world. You have to desire that in order to capture that spirit. And if you don't give two shits, if you just want to make money about that, off of them, if you just want to exploit them, if you just want to turn it into something for personal gain, a personal agenda, then forget about it. You're screwed right out of the gate.
You're never going to make
You're not going to get it.
Look, we can disagree on politics as a culture. What we're facing as a country right now is it's a grave issue, graver than even many people are admitting as we're speaking here early before the film gets made. It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to make some decisions of what kind of country we want to be.
Absolutely.
And we have to come together on these issues of jobs and security and family and whatever your religious beliefs are, and pull together. Then we can argue when it's all over about the 20% we disagree on.
Exactly. Right.
Left, right,
right.
I don't care.
Right.
Let's move forward.
Let's move forward. Absolutely.